Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome back to Adventure Capital, where we not only discuss the entrepreneurial journeys and adventures with founders who have raised capital on WeFunder, but also the different resource providers and mentors helping founders along the way. Huzzah! Today we have Kate and Bryan Flynn of Sun and Swell, an online plastic-free health food store. Look at them checking off all of the good for the people boxes. WeFunder gang, take it away.
All right, today on the podcast we have Kate and Bryan of Sun and Swell. Welcome to Adventure Capital.
Thanks, glad to be here.
Yeah, we're super stoked to have you. You guys just closed quite a large round on WeFunder. Can you start by giving us a brief overview of Sun and Swell?
Yeah, so our mission at Sun and Swell is to make it easier for people to live a healthier, more sustainable lifestyle. And we do that through our online plastic-free health food store. So you can kind of think of us like a Trader Joe's, but online and plastic-free and super healthy, high quality, fresh food.
So what kind of food, like what, give us, can you whet our appetite or tantalize our taste buds?
So we focus all on things you find in your pantry. So this could be nuts, seeds. We have some amazing, delicious dried fruits, superfoods. We have some cookies, a whole different variety of things, spices, all that. But what makes our food unique is that it's not just, it's not like our almonds aren't just any old almond. They're sourced directly from farms here in California. So they're fresher, they taste amazing. But also it means that by the time the almonds get to your pantry, they've only left the farm like a couple months ago, versus when you go buy almonds from the store, most likely they came from another country and it's been maybe a year or more since they left the farm. So even, we kind of pride ourselves on cutting out a lot of the middlemen, bringing people closer to the source of their food, and then also bringing food to people more sustainably.
Awesome. And you touched on plastic free, so I'd be interested if you could talk a little more about that. And then also, I know Good Eggs, like from when we lived in San Francisco, is it kind of similar model to Good Eggs? How do you differentiate versus a company like Good Eggs?
Yeah, so plastic free, we sell everything in compostable packaging. So it's packaging that will turn back into soil if it's composted. So it can be composted at home. It can also, if you have access to industrial composting, but we also have a send back program. So people can send back their used compostable bags to us so we can compost them, which we think is hugely important because we won't go too into it, but recycling right now is in a huge crisis because things aren't properly being recycled and can't properly be recycled. So we want to make sure that we kind of close that loop with our compostable bags. So that's what really differentiates us in the world of food. Nobody else is using compostable packaging the way that we're using it. And nobody's really thinking about that end of life problem and solving it for people with like we are with our send bag.
And we specifically focus on, right now at least, the stand-up pouches. So if you get a store and you buy anything in the middle of the grocery store, comes in a flexible film plastic bag, and oftentimes it's a stand-up pouch. But so most people are familiar with those. Most people not so familiar with the fact that none of those are any type of recyclable. So it's only currently made in versions that end up in the landfill. So we see that as a huge kind of issue in the grocery industry, the food industry. You've got other types of things, like if you buy your eggs, they come in like a crate that you can put in the recycling. If you buy certain types of plastic water bottles and things like that. But with the stand-up pouches and the what's known as flexible film plastic,
like what energy
bars, things like that, none of that has a good process for being recycled. So we see compostable packaging as the best solution for those types of products.
It's kind of like a solution. If you think about those like really cool bulk stores where you go in and there's like no bags and you bring your own bag, or even like the bulk sections of grocery stores that aren't really around because of COVID. Like if you're trying to like minimize your use of like plastic and packaging in when you buy your food, you'd want to go to one of those bulk stores, or you want to shop a bulk section. But we basically give people the option of buying food sustainably like that, but in a way that's really convenient and doesn't take any time. So if you're going to go go to a bulk store and bring all your own bags and fill everything up on your own, it's going to take you like a couple hours. It's a big thing versus we're saying, hey, order from the comfort of your couch. It'll get shipped right to your door, super easy, but you can still accomplish that zero waste goal that you're trying to achieve because the packaging will get turned back into soil. And I think you asked about the difference between Good Eggs. We don't live in Good Eggs Market, but my understanding is that they're a lot of produce, and then they carry other people's brands. Like when it comes to like stocking your pantry, for us, what differentiates us from some of those models is, first of all, we're really focused exclusively like on the pantry and that kind of dry goods area. But we also we're not regional, like we're shipping nationally. So you can kind of, wherever you are in the country, obviously it's not like ordering exactly from Amazon, but it's that, you order online, we ship right to your door, we ship it quick. And it's, just another bag of almonds, just a better bag of almonds than you might have today.
Yeah, the compostable packaging is huge. Like I was actually pretty directly involved in doing a life cycle analysis for a previous CPG company that I worked for. And everybody has this not everybody, but a lot of CPG brands have this intention of being very intentional with compostable packaging, but it's not really been tested yet and this was my experience, but there were a lot of concerns on shelf life or making sure the product was going to stay really fresh and crisp or whatever it was on the shelf. But since you guys are working with such local producers, things are being processed a lot more quickly, going direct to consumer. It seems like a great overlap to try out compostable packaging. And then you guys can be the model for a lot of these other brands who want to implement it.
Totally. So this is like an amazing point, and one of the reasons why we do things the way we do. So we actually when we started the company, we were trying to go more of the traditional CPG route, like you were just talking about. We started selling with a line of healthy snacks. We were selling them in wholesale. And then when we tried to transition that line of snacks over to compostable plastic-free packaging, we had shelf life issues. We had a lot of challenges. And so we kind of came to this moment where we're like, okay, we either have to lean really hard into zero waste, plastic free, and figure out a way to make that work and adjust our business model to accommodate that, or we need to stay traditional CPG and like just focus on growing kind of in the traditional sense. Obviously, we ended up leaning into the plastic free side of things because we had already kind of started to earn ourselves a reputation in the industry as the leaders and using compostable packaging. Like we won a big industry award for it last year. I'm on panels all the time about it. I've kind of become known as like the expert in using this stuff. And so we kind of made that decision of like, okay, like let's lean into this and like figure out a way to work with it versus trying to force it into a traditional grocery system that's not ready to use it. That's like not set up for it, because we know consumers want it. Like we know they do. They're asking us for it. They want more of it. And so that's kind of where, we push more on an online approach. We built out an entire product assortment beyond just our snacks. And you hit the nail on the head. Like it's not ready to go sit on a grocery store shelf right now. And the reason we're able to use it is kind of through our unique business model. We manufacture everything in-house. We ship things ourselves. So this kind of like the fact that we're doing it all in-house is what enables us to utilize it in a way that other companies can't.
So it's really interesting kind of hearing you talk about that kind of iteration, I guess, of the business model and had a CPG company, the packaging was tough. So then you kind of just pivoted the whole model in order to keep this kind of focus on, sustainability. So I'm just kind of curious if you could talk a little bit more about that whole kind of evolution and the journey, like in terms of the timeline, like how long were you working on the CPG company? Like what traction did you have? And then that must have been an incredibly hard decision to just almost kind of like abandon that CPG side, totally pivot? Were there conversations with investors there, or I'm just kind of really curious for you to walk through that process.
Yeah, well, the when we started with just the CPG, like just the snack food brand, we did have a lot of success. I mean, we still are. I mean, that line still exists. We're in Whole Foods. We got pre-COVID. We were in like Barry's Boot Camp. Like we had a lot of success with that brand or with that product. That's little. It was a little grab and go snack packs that we still have. But it wasn't necessarily like. We never really took anything, basically like we didn't have to give up anything with the old business. It was just growing in a different way. So instead of focusing our growth on wholesale, we started focusing our growth on our website. Instead of for when we looked at like product extensions and growing our product line, it was focused on it was focused on with this like new frame of reference in mind.
Got it. So it was less kind of a dramatic and kind of super risky pivot. It was more kind of just an almost like addition and kind of more gradual evolution.
Yeah, it was kind of like, we know that if we want to go plastic free, like it's not going to work in wholesale. So like, let's stop putting all of our growth efforts towards wholesale. Let's put it towards direct to consumer where it does work. And let's, and customers are asking us for more stuff. They don't just want our product. They don't just want our bites. They want everything compostable. So like, let's listen to them and react to that and give them what they want. So it's really just like how changing the trajectory of our growth strategy for the business. And it worked. I mean, we started testing that it was about a year ago, and it like rapidly started like what we felt the momentum, and we're like,
I presume maybe catalyzed by COVID as well.
Yeah, a lot more. That kicked a lot trend up for people buying groceries online. Also, people became a lot more aware of how much waste they were creating when you sit inside and you like realize you're bringing out a whole trash bag a day.
And to your point, like the bulk kind of things in grocery stores, I think you mentioned, were kind of put on pause during COVID as well.
Yep, exactly. So they had a lot of like the timing. Definitely was, it all fit together well. Is that
No, not really.
Yeah, I thought you were trying to say. Sorry. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I just, I think like the point I was going to make about testing, we actually, we did, learn a lot of things when we launched the compostable into the wholesale channel, and it started showing up in the shelves in places like Whole Foods and stuff. And that was a moment where we just kind of realized like we needed to form the business around this type of material and the packaging itself to give it the best chance at surviving. So that's that was the only thing I was gonna add.
Yeah, you guys mentioned this before, but it makes total sense. I feel like especially with a shelf stable product going to e-commerce, and now that you're able to increase people's cart size and ship them a whole box of their goods for the week and their pantry staples, it just helps you guys get the Sun and Swell specialty products out more, along with these other products all in compostable packaging. It's super cool. Plus your branding and marketing, from what I've seen, are awesome. Do you guys have a background in e-commerce, or what is your background that led you to start Sun and Swell in the first place?
Yeah. So my background was in, I did, prior to starting the company, I was doing management consulting, but really focused on like brand and growth strategy. So I never worked like on the operational side of building a company, but we worked with, executives teams, helping them think about how to, build their brands and how to target consumers. So that was like where I really got my foundation of knowledge about like thinking about brand and strategy and all that stuff. But then also just like a deep passion in like the health and wellness industries from both of us. And it was just kind of like, everyone's like, do what you're passionate about, but you never really know what that means. And then I think it was like sitting like so obviously like in front of our face is like all I would think about like outside of work is like cooking, like trying to make like healthy versions of like, I don't know, like I love doing things like making like healthy lasagna that's like butternut squash with cashew cheese, like stuff like that. Like I was like really into that world. And I finally, realized like, hey, I'm having trouble finding things that I feel proud about buying in the grocery store that I want to buy. Like sometimes I feel like I'm spending money on food is like a necessary evil. Like I want to go to the farmer's market. I want to buy stuff from my farmer's market, but I don't necessarily like want to buy all these packaged foods that I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know how long they've been around. They're full of, if they do have other ingredients, they're full of ingredients I've like never heard of. And so that kind of stemmed us to be like, is there a way to, give products to people that not only are better for them, but make them feel like happy and good about buying. And we spend so much money on food, like, giving people that excitement around spending their dollar. And then your background.
Yeah, I mean, my background is actually in tech and sales. So I've always been like a health nut runner, super interested in food, super interested in, where food comes from. I think, but I didn't really have a huge background in actually operating a food company. So, it was kind of
Learned a lot.
relying more on Kate for the experience as far as like how things work in this space. But a lot of skills that I had from the tech industry are applicable. I was a lot on the operations side, helping sales teams scale. But there was a lot of things that I did behind the scenes that are kind of applicable for what I do here.
But also Bryan was the one of us who always wanted to start a business, and he had started a couple businesses like in his past. And like, I was the person who was like, no, like the corporate world's for me. I like stability. I don't want to, like, I'm not ready to, I wouldn't ever start my own company. Like that was kind of my mindset until we kind of fell into the problem that we wanted to solve. And I was like, well, maybe we could start a company around this. And Bryan's like sitting over here, like, yeah, quit your job. Like, go do this. You start it. Awesome. I'll keep my job. You start the company. And then when you're ready, I'll come on over. So it was like, that was like, you've always worked for startups. You've always had that like entrepreneurial side of you.
I had the benefit of kind of working for not only starting a couple of companies that aren't worth talking about, but the tech companies that I did work for, one of the things you realize quickly is whatever the plan is for what you're going to build and when you're going to build it and who's going to be there when you build it and all these things, that can change a lot. And what you end up becoming might be something a lot different than where you started from. And I think as long as you start from a good premise with a good problem and it's interesting and that you're fascinated by, and you're willing to kind of go along for the ride, it's just a matter of like, where do you want to start and get your feet wet? And with Kate, I felt like she's always had the skill set to be a great entrepreneur, whether she knew it or not. And a lot of the things that she does really well are very applicable to fundraising and strategy and growing the business and ultimately deciding on what the vision should be. So I always knew that she could do it, even if she didn't maybe have those aspirations herself. But yeah, I mean, it's just as long as, I think as soon as she gave me the opportunity to say, hey, I think we should start a business, I was pretty much asking, when do I start?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's so cool to see how you guys complement each other in work and outside of it, I guess. One thing, this is an aside, Kate, but so I started my career in management consulting as well. I was there for 6 years, and
Oof,
I think there was some
wow.
good. I know, right? Like, yeah.
Survivor.
And there were some good things to come out of that. It's helped me, like, I'm really good at building Excel models, for example. But overall, I think it's like, was probably unhelpful for like working in a startup now. We fund that because it's, kind of a lot of research and, kind of getting the perfect answer versus like being kind of super action oriented and fast moving. So just kind of curious, like, what's your take on that? Do you think consulting has prepared you well for Sun and Swell, or are you trying to unlearn lessons?
It's actually really funny hearing your perspective, because my perspective is a little bit different, because before management consulting, I started my career in audit. And talk about like finding the perfect answer. Like consulting nowhere near. I mean, audit, like you have to be to like, I mean, there's a level of like materiality, but like you are ticking and tying and like now like everything, like it's not everything's black and white, but there's a lot of black and white. There's a little bit of gray, but like I didn't really handle that. I was too junior. That was like the higher levels that handled the gray. So consulting for me was actually a big adjustment because it wasn't as perfect as audit.
Yeah, it's
so
more vague and kind of unknown.
Exactly. So it was like my training ground for like this like extreme ambiguity of startup, you know. It's like the in between. So it was like my stepping stone kind of. But yeah, I think that with consulting, I feel like there was a lot of time spent on slides, and like I think a lot of the time spent was
exactly.
It's like, and there was definitely, you know, I think there was a definitely like, I think the other frustrating thing with consulting is like you spend all this time, you work all these hours of the night, so you give your recommendation, and then like sometimes like nobody takes it, and it's
totally.
like
You don't have any like kind of investment in whether it actually is implemented or like whether the implementation works out or not.
Exactly. Well, and also like all that money that's going into like paying these teams to consult, it's just like it's kind of like I don't know, and the lifestyle was really rough for me, and I feel like but I don't
know, I could I wouldn't be opposed to WeFunder moving me back onto the business class flights. Nick, if you're
that's true, that would be nice.
WeFunder expense policy maybe needs to be revisited. But yeah, I guess so. Yeah, kids, if you're listening, think twice before going to work for McKinsey.
Hey, I think it's like I think that there's a lot of like, I feel like the skills that you might not realize that you like being resourceful, like those are things that being resourceful, figuring out an answer if there's no perfect answer, like those are things that don't come naturally to a lot of people. So I do think
definitely pros.
Yeah, like I feel like for people who, and also like just the art of storytelling, like I feel like the fact that I can pull together a pitch deck, the fact that I can tell the story, was very valuable in fundraising. So there's kind of like there's, you know, two sides to it.
I would argue that's one of the most valuable things about being an entrepreneur. In fact, once you are running or steering the ship, like you got to be able to tell a good story, and you know, pulling it back into like WeFunder even, and why we maybe had some success there was a lot to do with Kate behind the scenes, you know, figuring out over a 4-year, you know, 3 or 4 year period of running this company, like how do you tell this story? How do you get people excited about packaging of their food and like the sourcing of their food? It's not really like a super exciting field, but being able to take lots of data and kind of like streamline it into something that is interesting to people. I think that that's something that I've seen you and many other people who have gone through like the consulting field learn how to do in you know, a couple year period. You bring in these kids who you know, or don't necessarily know how to do that, but I definitely by a couple years in, I always can tell that they figure out how to get their words across better, how to stream, you know, how to communicate more effectively, how to be more concise. So I think those are all like really important skills for an entrepreneur.
Yeah. For our listeners, if you haven't seen the profile, it's just wefunder.com/sunandswell. You guys raised just under 700K from around 370 unique investors, which is incredible. And just from, you know, flipping through, working with you guys on this raise, the comments that people left from your community are really, really heartwarming. Can you share your top tips for building this community, like pre-WeFunder as kind of a customer base, but also to get them to invest on WeFunder?
Yeah, I think that.
And first of all, I just want to say, just for anyone who's listening to this podcast who ended up investing in us, those comments that people left, like literally would bring us to tears, like on a daily basis.
100%.
We were so blown away by just the generosity of people's investments, the things that they were telling us. Just the experience in itself was so amazing. And all these people like had so much to do with it. Like words can't even express like how good it made us and our team feel. to know that we're doing something that's really hard, you know, and you don't always get feedback like that every day.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to talk to
was-
VCs, you're not getting all that feedback.
Can I just read a few actually? I just went to the page, so I'm not even selecting these.
Yeah.
I'm just reading from the top. Like, awesome mission and great brand from Roosbed. Jessica says, I have so much respect for Kate and Bryan. They are passionate about their mission and some of the most hardworking people I know. They're humble and driven, and I support them all the way. Kyle says, huge fan of the business and an even bigger fan of the people behind it. Steven says, thanks for the opportunity. This is going to be fun, very profitable fun. Kelly says, I love your mission. I live in rural New Mexico and began ordering from you guys during the pandemic last year. Your mission rocks. The organic products were the bait, the compostable packaging with the returnable option, the hook, line, and sinker. And then I like this. You got some product feedback as well. Tim says, I 100% believe in Kate and Bryan's ability to have a huge positive impact on the food we eat and the packaging we use for it. P.S. Please make sure to use metric system units on your packaging. So, just, some examples of what you're talking about. Like, we just closed a $5 million round on WeFunder. We actually partnered with another funding portal called Honeycomb, and we raised $5 million through RegCF ourselves, eating our own dog feed, as they say. And I could not agree more. Reading through the comments about why people are investing in WeFunder, they share like our kind of commitment to the mission. Like, some of the comments are about like you personally. I guess for you guys, like majority of comments by the look of it. But it's just unbelievably inspiring and uplifting and motivating, I think. And like, my friend reached out to me and was like, I basically own your ass now, so you better work hard to make me a return. So which, like, now my friends invested, and so it kind of makes it want to work harder to make them a return. But so thanks for saying that. It's a really, really
I think it's I've been telling people this recently, but I think our raising the money was a lot of work, but I think it was like that probably 1 month, like, because we only kept our round open for 6 weeks. We were trying to do it really fast, and during that time, I mean, that was like probably one of the happiest. It was one of the most rewarding things we've done throughout our entire company, because it was just so awesome.
Right.
Like, every day, like validation, like all these, like, and it was really awesome. Like, I feel like every day we're like, we need to celebrate. There's like so much to celebrate.
That's
the
like, podcast episode title, WeFunder. We make fundraising awesome.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, it's a lot funner than some of the other routes out there. And as Kate mentioned, it's work for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But as long
Can
as
you say more about that? Like, what did you do? Like, how did you make, because that's, in 6 weeks to raise almost 700K, that's awesome. Like, I feel like the average WeFunder campaign is longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about some of the things you did to achieve that success?
Yeah, so we definitely, by the way, I know you all provided us with like a playbook, and we definitely leveraged that and adapted
highly
to
recommend
fit.
following that playbook.
But we leveraged that a lot. But a couple of the main things we did was, first of all, like, so we thought of like our internal, we thought we divided our network into a couple segments. Our like closest network, people that, closest friends and family, people that know Sun and Swell, know what we've been doing. And then we had this then we have this second group of our internal network, which is people that we went to school with, we worked with, like people that are still, people who know us, but maybe it's been a couple of years since we talked, or maybe, we just know them through one professional connection, or maybe we worked with them 5 years ago, who knows. And then we had our customers, and we basically segmented those 3 groups and had like unique marketing campaigns to each of those. I think 10% of our raise came from our customers. And a big portion of our raise came from that kind of, our closest friends and family. That first group I talked about, we'd actually already raised friends and family money from that group before. So we did still, like, we definitely leverage that group, but that kind of second group I talked about of people who are in our network. But that's the group that we raised a lot of money from. And what we basically did is we went on LinkedIn. We each downloaded our list of contacts. So you can do that. You can't download their emails, but you can download your contact list. And then we both had like 1,500 or whatever. And then we went through that list and like and a Google spreadsheet, like X the like 400 that we wanted to email. And we went like, we weren't conservative. We're like, yeah, that person knows who I am. Like that person worked with me. Like we're gonna email them. And we had one of our employees, hourly employees, like go in and like collect the email addresses for all of them. And then we just put them on a mass email. And we emailed like 600 people.
We basically started a company within a company
Yeah.
for 6 weeks. But we were, get yourself like a good marketing CRM, like Klaviyo or something.
Klaviyo, yeah.
And
Sun and Swell Foods for all your email marketing needs.
Yeah.
So was this like, just to dig in a little more, was this like a drip campaign? Were you offering to hop on the phone with these people?
Yeah, so we did, we basically, it was a drip campaign, and we had a link that's like, hey, you want to hop on a call? Like, here's our, and we had a calendar link for them to schedule time. And most people didn't schedule time, but a lot of people did, which we loved because it was like so fun to catch up with people. Someone we haven't like talked to since high school or something like that. It was like really fun, talking to people, but we wanted to give them that option if they wanted it. And then, it was a drip campaign. If we would have been more prepared for, like, if we would have done a better job leading up to it, we would have had all those emails planned in advance, but we didn't. So we were kind of like, they're doing emails like every week, having to write a bunch of new emails, but we do emails based on like the status of things. So like the first couple emails were like, hey, like we have early bird special, like this is what we're doing, like invest before better terms with our early bird special before we like move on. And then we constantly were like giving people status updates. And the other great thing about using a really great marketing platform is you can kind of decide who you continue to email. So if you like email blast and like half the people don't open it, but like another half like open it or click on it, then you can like just follow up with people who like clicked it, so you're not having to like, it kind of takes the weird feeling about like sending someone 20 emails. Well, you can send them multiple emails if they're continuing to open and click and engage with your emails, and you can use that through an email marketing platform. But I think the other thing that really just made us successful, honestly, was us saying, we're going to do this in this period of time. It's our number one. Every morning we wake up, it doesn't matter. The only thing we have to get done this day is push fundraising forward. And we both spend about like 3 hours every morning on it. And that's what let us like gain our profile created quickly, launch quickly, and then just like going hard once we launched and posting. It wasn't just emails, that we were regularly posting on LinkedIn, social media, our personal LinkedIns and social media. The company one, we're a little bit more delicate with, just because our Instagram, I don't know how many of our followers want to see like every day about that stuff, but we were posting a lot on our personal accounts
and posting updates too. You guys did a really good job on the WeFunder page, which goes out to all of your followers, not just the investors. So helping to convert those leads as well.
And it's nice too that you can like retarget your advertising on Facebook and whatnot based on who's hitting your page.
Totally.
Which is really easy to do with your guys' back end. Just plug in your Google Analytics and your Facebook pixel, and you can start taking advantage of the back end stuff there. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing that I'll just reinforce this. I mean, we had made the mistake before of trying to fundraise without like a timeline on it, and just trying to be like, oh, we're gonna raise some money, like we're always raising, right? But you find that just doesn't work well when you're trying to run a business and have all these competing demands. So the biggest thing is really, really just being like, hey, we want to do this, we want to get this over with, and we want to move on with our business. And that's a nice thing about WeFunder too, because you can really structure it based on, how much early bird you have, and what the overall raise is, and you kind of can, you can really kind of set things up so that you're able to like just get it.
And you can wait. One thing, Dan, who connected us, Dan Katzrock at Regrained, one thing he did I think really well is like he raised a bunch in private. Then when he pulled the trigger for the public launch, he already had a ton of momentum, which then helped him come out the gate super strong. Just to bring things into the land here, just to wrap up the WeFunder discussion, it was really, really awesome to see that. Thanks so much, Bryan, for saying that about the, the messages, because having just done it ourselves, it kind of really, really resonates. And it took us to raise ourselves for me to really kind of see, wow, like first time, like I get what you're talking about.
Your own dog food, right?
Yeah.
You're not mine.
Don't get that feel good love from the VCs, guys.
Well, it really is a unique thing that I think you can only find with that. I mean, even if a friend gives you a check, it's usually, you feel the love, but this was just something completely different. It's really special.
Well, last question. One piece of advice for a founder starting, a social enterprise like Sun as well.
So just starting their business, right? Very beginning. So I think the biggest thing is to put like a stake in the ground for something. And it can be anything. It can be, I'm going to have my website launched a month from now, and I'm telling 5 of my friends. So I'm telling them in a month from now, I'm going to send them an email to test it. Like putting something in the ground for us. When we started the company, before we even had a product, while we just had an idea, but like we knew what we were doing. In some sense, we booked 3 months out an event, like a booth at a local triathlon.
Like a forcing function.
Yeah, it just forced us. So we said, okay, by this date, we have to have version 1, we have to have a bag, we have to design. And it gave us a deadline to work around. Versus, I think when you're starting a business for the first time, especially because it's most likely going to be a side hustle, you most likely have another job going on or something going on when you're very first starting it. Like you have to have something that a deadline some artificial deadline you put in the road to work towards, because you just got to get started. And I think and honestly, like that's not just for starting a business. That's like doing a crowdfunding campaign. Like you just got something.
A Zoom meeting that has 90 seconds left on Kapow's like free.
There you go. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm currently trying to upgrade to buy
Talk about a deadline. Bryan, what about you? One piece of advice from
45
you?
seconds I have is more than enough.
Exactly.
I would just say, let your values guide you, and don't be deliberate about, I need to exit in 5 years or 3 years and make this much money. Especially with a social enterprise like ours, a B Corp. Just let your values. What do you think is the right thing to do, and just do that. And more than likely, you'll find that there's a lot of other people out there that agree with your vision. But don't be too intentional about trying to appease other people's values or think is the right thing. What we should be doing, do what you think is the right thing for you.
Well, that's an awesome note to end on. Guys, thanks so much for taking the time. This has been a really fun conversation. It was really fun.
This has been great.
Throughout the race.
Check out sunandsoilfoods.com. Everyone, order your delicious pantry staples and send back your compostable bags. Thank you guys so much.
ABC.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Adventure Capital. I hope you laughed, took notes, shed a tear, and most importantly, feel ready to go off on your own adventure. And remember, whenever you are ready, WeFunder is here to help.